Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, so it's Wednesday. I mean, there's not a thing going on in the league right now, but we got stuff to talk about. So, actually, we got a few things to talk about, actually. I forgot. So we're going to have a little bit of fun today. We'll talk first segment about the Warriors. I mean, every fan of any NBA team besides Golden State is asking themselves, when is this going to stop? When is my team going to stop losing every year? I'm tired of this. We're going to talk about that for this first segment, so we'll enjoy it. Second segment, the Raptors decided it'd be a good idea to hire Kawhi Leonard's friend in order to try and keep him around. So he's on their coaching staff, or he's on their staff. I'm not sure if his role is like his business card says Kawhi Leonard's friend, or if it says here to help keep Kawhi Leonard in Toronto. I'm not sure. We'll be talking about that, if that really does increase their chances. I think we'll get the Clippers in there. Still think the Clippers need to move to Seattle, but we talked about that, last week I think it was. Third segment, we're going to be talking about Manu Ginobili. Looks like he's going to be retiring. Seems to be the end of an era over in San Antonio. Kawhi Leonard went all full diva mode. Now he's in Toronto. Tim Duncan retired years ago. I wonder what Tim Duncan's doing now. That guy was the most boring NBA player in the history of the NBA, but man, was he great. Maybe we'll compare him to Kobe later. But yeah, Tony Parker's in Charlotte. I mean, Tony Parker being in Charlotte, Hakeem Olajuwon being in Toronto. I think Patrick Ewing was with Orlando for a bit. It's disgusting. Shouldn't happen, but it does. I mean, it's like MJ playing for the Wizards. Maybe if Kobe would have went to go play for what's a random team Kobe Bryant could have played for? Like Kobe going to the Atlanta Hawks. You just want to forget it. Obviously, it didn't happen, but that's kind of the equivalent to it. So that's what today's show is going to be about. So let's get it started. So Golden State, there's been a lot of chatter about what Steph wants to do in his NBA career. Klay Thompson's dad seems to speak up for Klay a lot. Draymond Green, I mean, I have no clue what goes through that guy's head. And Kevin Durant just wants to make everyone happy. But I guess the question I'm trying to get at here is, how long is this team going to last together? Last 4 years, well, I'd say the last 6 years, they've been a real great team. Kevin Durant only been around for the last 2, but I mean, I'd say, last 6 years, they've been a very good team in the West. Last 4 years, they've been the best team in the league. I mean, I think people just remember the Warriors just winning titles, but before that, yes, there was a time when they were losing in the playoffs with Steph Curry. Eventually, I mean, they fired Mark Jackson, brought in Steve Kerr, and that was all done with. But team's been dominating since. They've had a nice little 6-year run. And I mean, in talking about these last 4 years, they've won 3 out of the last 4. If Draymond Green doesn't get suspended that second year that they meet again with Cleveland, maybe they win 4 in a row. But I guess the question now, like I said, is how long is this team sticking together, and is it really something that they could sustain with all the money? I mean, you look at it, we've talked about it. Kevin Durant, greatest scorer. I don't think Kevin Durant sticks around with this team for the rest of his career, though. I'd say if there was anyone who's going to leave, it would definitely be Kevin Durant. So I'd say, Kevin Durant's gone. But either way, if Kevin Durant does leave, that doesn't really make the Warriors, they're still the best team in the league. I don't think people realize that. But either way, Steph Curry, he's currently 30. His deal is up in 2022, I believe. Let me double check that real quick, see what Steph Curry's contract is looking like. So yeah, Steph is an unrestricted free agent in 2022. Steph will be 34 by then. If Steph is smart, I'm going to stick with the Warriors, continue being the face of this franchise, because you know what? I'm 34. Eventually, I'm going to fall off. So I don't see Steph leaving. He said that he wants to stick with the Warriors for the rest of his career. And I mean, like I said, he's here till 2022 for sure. You look at Klay. Klay's one of the guys I could see leaving to like an LA or something like that. I'm not sure how much Klay Thompson likes being the third man on that team. I mean, you had his dad talking the other day saying that it was weird. I could have swore I saw a comment from his dad saying that Klay wants to be a Warrior for life, but also might just test free agency. Meaning he'll take some, kind of Andre Iguodala. Remember Andre Iguodala was a free agent, what was it, last season or the year before? Took a meeting with the Kings, but, I mean, everyone knew he was signing back with the Warriors. And, I mean, the Kings, that poor team. But you look at it, Klay's a free agent after next season. So, does he leave? I'd say no. I mean, I don't get why, and I'm not saying he is or even talking about he is, but I don't understand why you would leave a situation like that. I mean, honestly, if you look at it, you've got a great head coach, great front office, fans are still showing up. You got Steph, you got Draymond. You live in the Bay Area. You're making millions on top of millions of dollars. There's opportunities there to work with people in Silicon Valley like Patrick Willis did when he left the 49ers, crossing over to football real quick. I mean, there's a whole bunch of opportunities. It's like LeBron going to LA. He's not going to LA to win titles. I mean, LeBron, there's no way he's looking at the roster saying, oh yeah, we're going to win a championship this year. There's no way he believes that. LeBron's going to make money. Bay Area is where you could do that. So I don't get why you live a situation like that, but there is the whole thing of these guys still do play because they love the game. And the Warriors have basically won, like I said, they've been just dominating the West last 4 years, won 3 of the last 4 titles. And the thing with the Warriors is there hasn't been competition. I mean, Steve Kerr will literally sit a guy because he's got a broken fingernail in the regular season. Why? Because they don't care. That's so disrespectful to these other teams. Remember when the players coached against the Suns? I was a Suns player. I'm just quitting right there and then. We're so bad that the players are coaching against us and they're still beating us by 40. What am I doing here? I'm going to go play in China. I'm going to go play in Spain. Something like that. But either way, the point I'm trying to get at here is if you're just winning and winning and winning and there's no competition, that gets boring. I mean, some of these guys are competitors. Some of them want a challenge. I mean, you look at Klay. He's the third man on that team. Maybe Klay's thinking, you know what? I won here, won my championships. I had a good time. Let me go see what I could do with some other team and see if I could lead a team or have a bigger role. And again, that's all just theory and all that. I'm not sure that's what he's thinking. I mean, like I said, his dad said he wants to be a Warrior for life, but I'm just throwing that out there. And let's say that this team does stick together. I mean, realistically, how many more championships can they win? Steph's already got 3. Chances are he wins his 4th this season. I mean, you're reaching Kobe territory at that point. And if Steph reaches Michael Jordan, we're going to have to talk about the fact that he might be one of the best players of all time. I know everyone's been kind of hiding from that conversation, but I'm telling you, it's going to come up and we're going to talk and we're going to have a good talk about it. You look at it, Steph's already the greatest shooter of all time. He's got 3 titles, 2 MVPs, first player to ever become a unanimous MVP. And he's at the point of his career where people are kind of nitpicking him. Oh, but how many finals MVPs does he have? Who cares? The dude wins rings. He's the face of the franchise. I mean, I think at one point I was kind of like, oh, Steph's good, but not that good. No, Steph is that good. He's that good. People might think I sound like a Warriors fan, but I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, everyone should see it at this point. At this point, if you don't like Steph Curry, then you're just hating on the guy. I mean, I'd say right now he's probably a top 20 player. And how could you not say that? Who else has done what Steph Curry has done? Steph Curry changed basketball. Literally, Steph Curry changed the game. Meaning, because of him, everyone else is taking way more three-pointers. The stats back that up. Everyone's taking more three-pointers now than they ever have. Steph Curry was the first one to start doing that. Meaning just basically be a three-point shooter. And that kind of hurt him, too, in the beginning of his career because people thought Steph couldn't do anything else. But, yeah, the guy's a top 20 player. He's the face of a franchise. Like I said, he's got titles. He's got MVPs. The only thing he's missing is a finals MVP. And if he doesn't have one bad game in this past series that they played against Cleveland, he wins it. And like I said, there's a good chance that he could win it this year because I'm sure, unless somehow Houston or Boston, I'd say, get past them or beat them in a series, he'll probably win a title. And he might be the finals MVP. It stinks that he's playing with a player better than him and Kevin Durant, but it is what it is. You look at KD, he's a free agent in 2020. KD, I have no clue what that guy's going to do. He's 29 right now. He'll be 32 by the time he's a free agent. Kevin Durant seems like he doesn't care what people say, and then he does. So I think there's a chance he might just leave. But even then, if you stick with a core of Steph, Clay, and Draymond, you're still the best team in the West. People say, no, well, Chris Paul's what, 30-something? How old is Chris Paul, actually? Chris Paul is currently... Chris Paul's going to be 35 at least? 33. So Chris Paul's got a couple years left. But either way, like I said, he'll be 35, 36 by the time KD is a free agent. And let's say that KD chooses to stay with Golden State, then the dominance continues. This is a team, if KD sticks around, and so does Clay, then, they could realistically get 6-7 championships total. I don't think people realize that, but it's all up to Kevin Durant. And I'd say even with Steph, they're still better than... I'd say with minus KD, this Warriors team, you take KD away from the Warriors, they're better than this current Lakers team, they're better than the Jazz, they're better than the Rockets, and they're better than the Thunder. Let's not forget, this team was won a title before Kevin Durant. Draymond Green, he's a free agent in 2020 also. Unrestricted. So, they might have to pick between Draymond and KD. Because Clay's going to get a max next season. And I'm not sure that you can give a max to both Draymond and KD. If you can, then do it. If you can't, it's going to be tough. So, we'll see what ends up happening. But I'd say this team probably has at least one more. And given if everything works out for them, meaning everyone sticks around, probably 4 more at the max. So, we'll see what ends up happening. But either way, next up, we're going to be talking about the Raptors hiring Kawhi Leonard's friend. So, stay tuned and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
So it seems that the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes for who's going to get him have already started. You got the Clippers firing Bruce Bowen because he said Kawhi was making a bunch of excuses. Show me the lie. So they fired him. He'll probably end up back with ESPN or something like that. Maybe Fox Sports picks him up. But the only way that happened, obviously the Clippers fired him because they want Kawhi next year. And then you got the Raptors hiring Kawhi Leonard's friend. I guess that's what you got to do in professional sports. His name, he was a Spurs staffer, coincidence. His name is Jeremy Castleberry, close friend of Kawhi Leonard. Going to be working with the Toronto Raptors coaching staff. Played high school ball with Kawhi Leonard and also played college ball with him. Castleberry was a walk-on, but I mean, are you serious? Actually, you know what? I get it. I get it completely. You got to do this weird stuff because it's Kawhi. But I don't know, man. There's a point, yeah, you want to keep Kawhi around, but I mean, you're hiring friends of the coaching staff? Come on now. I guess that's the way it works. I mean, these players got egos. But I'm looking at it right now. If Kawhi Leonard, if he were to resign with Toronto, he could sign a 5-year, $190 million deal. If he were to sign somewhere else, he'd sign a 4-year, $141 million deal. I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't think I could ever pass up $50 million. I mean, for most people, $50 million pretty much sets you up for life. But again, these players already make enough money to, I guess, they can make those kind of decisions. But, I mean, it's been reported that Kawhi wants to be in LA. Adrian Wojnarowski's been on that front the entire time. So, this is a bit of a bold move here for the Raptors. And I mean, I think their offseason has been an all-time panic move here. Firing Dwayne Casey, why? Because DeMar DeRozan decided not to show up in the playoffs? That's not his fault. I mean, come on now. Dwayne Casey's a great coach. That's no doubt. The dude won Coach of the Year. You look at DeMar DeRozan, the only guy that's ever wanted to stick around in Toronto. You shipped him off. I mean, good luck ever finding anyone who wants to play the rest of their career there. Kyle Lowry might, but Kyle Lowry's already 32, so he's old. I mean, I'd say their chances at keeping Kawhi are, I'd say they got like a 30% chance. And Kawhi and the Clippers just doesn't seem like a match to me for some reason. Like, I get the guy's from LA and he wants to play in LA, but it's just the Clippers, I don't know. There's something about the Clippers I just don't see as a fit. Maybe it's just wouldn't be used to seeing them there or anything like that. But anyway, it just seems like, I don't know, if you're going to go to an LA team and you want to be the star, you go to the Lakers. You don't go to the Clippers. I'm sorry, Clippers fans, but this is the truth. You guys are second fiddle in LA. I'd say the rankings amongst LA professional sports teams goes Lakers, Dodgers. I'm going to be missing some teams too. Oh yeah, you get the Rams. Should I go Lakers, Rams, Dodgers? I'll go the Chargers, Los Angeles Kings, and then maybe the Clippers after that. If you add in college football teams, I mean, I'm sure USC and UCLA are ahead of the Clippers. Again, harsh, but it's the truth. And it's like Kawhi Leonard, I think this whole thing has been about him and that endorsement money. I said it before, people don't realize how much endorsements play a factor into a player's career. I mean, Nike or Adidas could be telling whatever player, you come sign here, we'll rip up your contract, and we'll put a bunch more money in. That's how that works. So, Kawhi Leonard, I mean, he just got dropped from Jordan Brand. Obviously not great, so I'm sure Adidas or something like that will pick him up. But if I'm Adidas, you got to think about it. You want Kawhi to go play for the Lakers? Yeah, he'll be the best. Or for the Clippers? Yeah, he'll be the best player on that team, but that's not the LA team. You send him over to the Lakers, he's going to be second fiddle because any team LeBron goes to, he's the man on that team. LeBron would have went to Houston, he'd be the top player on that team, it'd be his team. If he would have went to, what were some other teams? Houston, Philly, it would have been his team. That's just how it goes. Maybe there's a shared spotlight there, but I don't know. I think Kawhi might just want to be the guy, but again, if it's just he wants to play in LA, like if that's his only thing right here, I just want to be in LA, I don't care about the money or anything like that, then he's going to go to the Lakers. I said that pretty confidently, though. I'm not sure. Lakers usually don't do well with free agents. Before you start yelling at me about LeBron, that's one. That's one since Shaq. Don't forget that. Since you signed Shaq, LeBron is the only real great free agent you got. Pau Gasol free agent, they trade for him. I think they might have traded for him. You missed out on KD. You missed out on Marcus Cousins. You've missed out on Russell Westbrook. Paul George literally signed as soon as he could with Oklahoma City. And maybe it's just Laker fans, I guess, because, there's so many rumors, this player going there, that player going there. Like I said, it's just LeBron. But I guess that's a pretty decent free agent signing if you tell me. So we'll see what ends up with Kawhi Leonard. And like I said, there is a chance that he still sticks with Toronto. Toronto's still a decent media market. And he could become the face of that team. Well, he is the face of that team now, I'd say. And let's say that they go to a championship, they play the finals against the Warriors. And Kawhi likes Toronto. Why not stick around? That's all I'm asking. But Toronto's got a good squad. People are really underrating them this season, I think. People are not realizing that they got better. No disrespect to DeMar DeRozan, but he's not the player Kawhi Leonard is. And I'm curious to see how the Spurs do with DeMar DeRozan this season. We'll talk about them in the next segment, but we'll see what ends up happening. The Raptors obviously making moves ahead of time, bringing on his friend. And I guess stuff like that does help. Maybe the Clippers hire like Uncle Dennis. Boom. Clippers hire Uncle Dennis, it's over. For those that don't know Uncle Dennis, that's supposedly the guy who's been holding the puppet strings with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is basically the man he goes to listen to for advice and future career moves. The Clippers hire Uncle Dennis. You make him the assistant coach. Kawhi Leonard is there for the rest of his career. Easy. And that's crazy how, like even Markelle Fultz, I think he had like a personal trainer that he was listening to. That's why his jump shot got messed up. And I don't understand why NBA players will come into the league from college and just immediately switch up their jumper or something about their game. Like Markelle Fultz, maybe you realize, hey, I got drafted number 1 because I played this way and I shot this way. So why are you going to completely change everything up? It doesn't make sense to me. For those that follow baseball, it's kind of like Tim Lincecum. At one point, he was one of the best pitchers in the league. Switches up his mechanics. That's all she wrote there. I never understand it. Players trying to fix what's not broke. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Right. So, we'll see what ends up happening, but I don't know. I have no clue where Kawhi's going to go. The New York Knicks could be a team that could possibly happen, but it seems like the Knicks, rumors are Kyrie Irving and Jimmy Butler could team up and meet up there. Knicks with Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler, and Kristaps Porzingis. Pretty decent team. Might finally be able to get farther than Patrick Ewing did. Patrick Ewing made it to the finals, once? Lost to Houston? Maybe they win it. But either way, I don't know. It'd be a decent team. The Knicks would actually be, relevant to talk about. There'd actually be some meaning there. But that's all I got to say about this for the time being. Like I said, don't sleep on the Raptors, please. They might, dare I say it, be better than Boston. That's a possibility. We saw them be the number 1 seed last year. The only thing that kind of scares me is the coaching change. They should have never made that coaching change. If you were going to trade DeMar DeRozan, do that. But don't get rid of Dwayne Casey. Because we're not even sure if this Nick Nurse guy has what it takes to take a team deep into the playoffs. Like I said, this offseason was an all-time panic move for the Knicks. Or not for the Knicks, for the Raptors. So, we'll see what ends up happening. They're going to have to compete with Boston and Philly, obviously, to get out of the East. Maybe Indiana, possibly. Maybe Milwaukee, if Giannis actually has a decent coach this season. I think he's got Budenholzer, who used to coach at Atlanta. He was a decent coach, so maybe this is Giannis' year. Who knows? But either way, that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about Manu Ginobili possibly retiring, so stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC basketball podcast. First segment was about the Warriors. Second segment, we talked about the Raptors hiring Kawhi Leonard's friend to the coaching staff. Bold move there. We'll see how it works out. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, no one has... Yeah, you know what? Fact of the matter, no one has any clue what Kawhi Leonard's doing. Honestly. I mean, there's no one knows. The dude doesn't speak. Maybe he's got his Uncle Dennis talking to Woj, but even then, I'm not too sure. So we'll see what ends up happening, but if he does end up somewhere, it'll probably be LA, maybe New York. The dude wants to get cashed out, I think. That's what I think. That's just theory. So now we move on. Remember when the Spurs had Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, pretty much going to the finals every other year, switching off with the Lakers, winning titles? That era is now over. Tim Duncan is retired as a Spur. And it looks like Manu Ginobili might also. Tony Parker should have retired as a Spur, but for some reason the dude thought, hey, let's go to... Why is Tony Parker in Charlotte? Why did Michael Jordan even sign Tony Parker? What sense does that make? Why is Kemba Walker still on the Hornets? Michael Jordan might be the worst. Like, it is incredible how great of a basketball player you could be, but how bad, like how terrible of a front office guy you could be. Like Michael Jordan... Like, maybe it's like a yes man type of thing there, where he's like, oh, we should do this. Oh, okay, Michael. Oh, we should do that. Oh, yeah, great, Michael. Hey, let's draft Adam Morrison. Sure, Michael. I mean, honestly. Hey, guys, Kwame Brown, he played pretty good against me one-on-one. Let's draft him. Okay. I don't get it. The Hornets should be rebuilding right now, and I kind of hijacked the segment, moving it from the Spurs to the Hornets, but that's the truth. Kemba Walker should be playing for Detroit, possibly someone else. I mean, you look at Charlotte. Do they really impress you at all? No. I mean, last year they won less than 37 games, I think it was. Yeah, they won 36. I mean, I don't understand it. Like, I don't at all. He had Nicholas Batum. Last season was pretty bad. Bismack Biyombo, he had one good year with the Raptors, and everyone decided, hey, let's pay this guy. I do like Miles Bridges being there. I will give him that. Willie Hernangomez is decent. Are the Hornets working with something here? I'm taking a deeper look into the roster, and I don't know. Willie Hernangomez is a decent center. Frank Kaminsky will give you 10 to 15 points, but he's not going to rebound one single ball for you. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, we already know what he is at this point. Jeremy Lamb is a backup at best. Malik Monk did pretty much play well towards the end of last season, but that was at a point where, I mean, no one really had anything to play for unless you were going to the playoffs. You got Marcus Page. He's not on a guaranteed deal. Tony Parker's there, like I said. I mean, they still got Kemba, Marvin Williams, Cody Zeller. This team still isn't good enough to make the playoffs. If I was them, I would have traded Kemba away. I would have tried to get rid of Batum. I don't know what Bismack Biyombo's there making $17 million on that team for. I mean, I would have cleaned house there. What are the Hornets exactly? That's my question, I guess. What are the Hornets exactly playing for this season? It can't be to win a title. There's no way Michael Jordan, like I get he doesn't make the great personnel decisions, but there's no way in the world Michael Jordan thinks this team can make it to the finals. I mean, maybe you come in as an 8th seed. Possibly. Even then, that's tough. Let me list teams who I think are better than the Hornets currently. Boston, Philly, Toronto, Detroit, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Heat, the Wizards. It's only 8 teams. Maybe they do have a decent chance. Would I take the Bulls over them? I might. I like the squad that the Bulls got. Bulls were a real young team last season, only won 27 games, but they got a lot of exciting players, I'd say. I like Wendell Carter Jr. He looked good in the Summer League. Chris Dunn played well last season. Poor guy broke his tooth. Remember that fall off that dunk, I think it was? Zach LaVine, he ended up coming back to Chicago since they matched his deal. Robin Lopez, just like his brother, decides not to rebound. Brought on Jabari Parker, Larry Markin in there. Bobby Portis leaving the bench. Denzel Valentine was all right. I think I'd take Chicago over the Hornets. So, we'll see what ends up happening with that team. But, I mean, I don't get why Tony Parker decided to go to the Hornets. It's the most random thing ever. It's disgusting. But, looking back at Manu, seriously contemplating retirement, it's reported. Man, over his career, 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, 4-time NBA champ, made the All-Rookie team in 2002, and then won the Sixth Man of the Year award in 2007. Guy's been around for about, 16 seasons? Since 2002. His best season was probably 2007, where he averaged almost 20 points. He never averaged 20 once in his career. I don't want to discredit Manu, but I'm not going to say it. It was going to be something about the Hall of Fame letting everyone in. I mean, you look at Manu Ginobili's stats. He's a 13.3 point per game career shooter, 3.5 rebounds, 4 assists, field goal percentage is near 45, 37, free throws 83. I like Manu, but we do tend to let a lot of people in the Hall of Fame in basketball. Manu came into the league when he was 25, so maybe that has something to do with it. But either way, last 3 seasons, he's averaged less than 10 points. I mean, hasn't been near 20 points since, I'd say, maybe 2010, where he's at 17. But even then, I mean, that's 3 points off. So, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Manu, like I said, it's the end of an era. Watching those Spurs team dominate, it just kind of feels weird. It's like the Sandlot. Everyone's just going now. And watching Greg Popovich with his current Spurs team, I mean, what do you think he's going to do? Meaning, how far is this team going to go? It's kind of... I mean, you look at the Spurs, they got LaMarcus, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, they're both mid-range jump shooters. There's no three-point shooters on the Spurs, at least some that you can consistently count on. Maybe Bellinelli's one, I guess. And this Spurs team's old too. I remember a few years ago when we kept saying, "Oh, the Spurs won't win a thing." They're old. They weren't actually old. Now the Spurs are old. LaMarcus is 33, Bellinelli's 32. DeRozan is 29. Do you guys know that Patty Mills is already 30? I feel like he's still a young player. Powell is 38 years old. Pau Gasol is still doing it. He's still playing well. Rudy Gay's 32. They said Patty Mills is 30. Then you got Deontay Murray, he's 21. Jacob Poeltl's 22. Lonnie Walker, that's a player to watch for when it comes to the Spurs also. Drafted out of Miami. First round pick for them. 19-year-old shooting guard, 6'5". It's going to be interesting to see what he does with the Spurs this season. Maybe Greg Popovich has something drawn up for him. Going to have a big year. Who knows? But I'm not sure how long Greg Popovich sticks around either. I mean, it just feels like those three players and Popovich just stuck together. Meaning Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. I mean, Popovich brought Ginobili and Parker over from one from Argentina, one from France. Drafted Tim Duncan. I mean, it's going to be weird seeing... this is a whole new Spurs team here. If Manu retires, I mean, this is completely different from what we've seen over the last 20 years. I don't think we talk about the Spurs enough as far as being an all-time great NBA franchise. We tend to put, the Lakers and Celtics up there, as you should. And then they try to sneak in the Knicks. But, I mean, the Spurs are a team that should be up there. Same with Chicago. I mean, the run they went on was kind of like the New England Patriots out in the NFL. Team's been good since 2001. Don't win every year, but got 5 championships out of it. Lost a couple that they could have won. I mean, Ray Allen doesn't hit that shot. They got 6 rings. Did Duncan win 5 or he won 4? I think he won 5. And is Duncan better than Kobe? That's a debate that I feel like is starting to come up more and more. I'm not sure. I think Tim Duncan, the only downside to him was he was boring. He didn't light it up like Kobe did, meaning he just wasn't as exciting. I don't know. He's a 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA player. Made the All-Rookie team, 3-time Finals MVP, Rookie of the Year, 5-time champ, 15-time All-Defensive team. My gosh, this guy was ridiculous. All-Star MVP, 2-time regular season MVP. He might just be. I mean, Tim Duncan was no joke whatsoever. Even when you could tell his play was starting to diminish a bit, he was still averaging about 15 and 10, 15 and 8, I'd say. I mean, Tim Duncan's one of the all-time greats, so that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be moving on, talking about the possibility of Kobe playing in the Big Three, along with talking about anything else going on in the world of basketball. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about the Warriors, Kawhi Leonard, and Manu Ginobili, also the Hornets. So now we move on for the fourth segment, talk about anything else going on in the world of basketball. We obviously know about the Big Three League. It comes on Fox. I don't really keep up with it too much. I'm not a big fan of watching players past their prime, like playing basketball. I will watch it from time to time. Usually you'd see Brian Scalabrine out there. I think Brian Scalabrine literally might be the best player out there, for being real here. But Carlos Boozer's out there. I know Nate Robinson's out there. I saw him almost getting a fight in his first game. But the Big Three, I think, has done well for itself since it's become a thing. Ice Cube's done well to market it. I remember that first season they had Allen Iverson there. He only played about 15 seconds, but nonetheless, he was there. And I think now maybe they're looking for that next big name. Kobe's name has been fishing around, been talked about a lot at press conferences. And I mean, it was talked about even before that one press conference with Steven Jackson. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I think you could just easily search up on the internet or even on Twitter, Stephen A. Jackson press conference, Kobe or something like that. And it'll come up. He was asked about it, if the Big Three could use Kobe and if Kobe could handle the physicality. What a question. Can Kobe handle the Big Three? Really? Really? Is that what we're asking here? Can Kobe handle the Big Three? I think Steven Jackson's doing fine. I think Kobe will be much better. No disrespect to Steven Jackson, but, I mean, we're talking about Kobe here. But either way, the co-founder of the Big Three, Jeff Quantinetz, said that next season Kobe Bryant will be playing. That has been denied, but it's kind of like a he said, she said type of thing here. I mean, do we want to see Kobe in the Big Three? Let's say if Kobe did make it to the Big Three, I'd watch. I would watch. Why? Because Kobe still gets ratings. He's still a draw. I mean, people are still paying attention to what Kobe's doing right now. Dude's out here making short films, winning Oscars. Kobe Bryant is like the ultimate winner, I'd say, too, as far as everything that he's done so far. But, I mean, you look at it, it's a possibility. It's been talked about for like the last year, I'd say, Kobe Bryant to the Big Three. Maybe it's one of those slow build type of things here. Maybe there was always like an agreement from the start. Yes, I'll come play from this past year or whatever. Kobe will come play, but it'll be next season. He wants to focus on body armor drink that he invested on and make more movies, short films. Because, I mean, there has been a lot of rumors surrounding Kobe to the Big Three, and usually when you see that, there's some substance to it. And people will bring up, oh, can Kobe return back to the NBA? You don't want to see that. You don't. People forget how bad Kobe's last season was because of his 60-point game against the Jazz where he took 50 shots. Kobe, his last season, averaged 17 points per game, which was his second lowest amount since his second year. Lowest since his second year was back in 2013, where he only played 6 games, so that doesn't really count. By the way, he averaged 17.6 a game. Only about 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Shot 35% from the field, 28% from 3. I mean, it wasn't a great season. I think the game passed Kobe up. Of course, injuries caught up to him, but he's old now. He's 39. By the time he gets back into the NBA, if that were to happen, he'd be 40, 41. I'd say just leave it alone. Leave that memory of him playing the Jazz in that last game, taking 50 shots and scoring 60 points, and be done with it. I don't think Kobe needs to come back and play basketball anymore. There's nothing for him to prove. And even if he came back to the Lakers, I mean, let's be real here. Is Kobe worth creating minutes for amongst the other guys that they have? Can you really count on Kobe? And that's the thing, too. Can you really count on Kobe to play a different role? Kobe can't come in and be the same guy. No, you better pass that ball. Hit Kuzma before you hit anyone else. Honestly, Kuzma would be a better option than him. Brandon Ingram, it wouldn't be. Kobe would have to play a whole different role. You'd have to play the veteran who, I'm going to pass you the ball. If I get an opportunity, I'll take a shot. I think people have this mentality that if Kobe were to come back and play in the Big Three or the NBA, he'd be the Kobe that we saw at the peak of his career. Kobe's old. Father time comes for everyone. People don't realize that. Tim Duncan's the only... no, I'd say father time came for Tim Duncan, but Tim Duncan did well to fight it off. Tom Brady's the only one who's fighting father time. We got to talk about that one day. Makes no sense that Tom Brady's gotten better as he's hit his 40s. Does it? No, it doesn't. We've never seen anyone else do that. But either way, we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, like I said, it's been denied that he's not playing in the Big Three, but the founder said that he is, so... I mean, if you're the founder of the Big Three and you're saying Kobe's coming to play, you can't really lie to the media, can you? Maybe it's just like a publicity stunt, but either way, that wouldn't be too great, I'd say. I saw Ice Cube, he's talking about he wanted to make video games for the Big Three and all that. I don't think I'd buy a Big Three video game. I don't think I would, even if it was like $10. I mean, you know how slow those players would move? I mean, it's a bunch of old guys out there. So, we'll see what ends up happening. Let's see what else is going on in the world of basketball. Is there anything else that we're missing currently? Anything that I need to talk about? Any exciting topics out there? Let's see. We already talked about Ginobili pondering retirement. Oh, Nancy Lieberman, speaking of Big Three. She won Coach of the Year. I think her team went, 7-1 or something like that, I think it was. Corey Maggette won MVP. Chris Anderson, Birdman, Defensive Player of the Year. That's a solid team right there. Yeah, they went 7-1 during the regular season. Doesn't say anything about playoffs or anything. Oh, they're playing the championship game Friday night against whoever Three's Company is in Brooklyn. That's good, I guess. Let's see what else is currently going on in the world of basketball. I mean, there's not much else going on, honestly. It's been a pretty slow news cycle. I mean, like I said, Manu's contemplating retirement. There's a lot of questions about which Warriors want to stick around. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, we're never going to know where he's going until he actually signs somewhere. The Hornets kind of scare me. I mean, I think they should be rebuilding, but it is what it is there. Let's take a look at the teams. Let's go with some way too early predictions as far as standings. I think I'd go Golden State is number 1, Houston number 2, the Jazz number 3, Oklahoma City 4, Lakers 5. I'd go Denver 6. Minnesota 6. Denver 7. And then I guess I'll go Portland 8. Sorry, New Orleans, but Anthony Davis wasn't... Maybe Anthony Davis replicates last season, but he's never really done well to get to the playoffs by himself. Out East, I'd go Boston 1, Toronto 2, Philly 3, Indiana 4, Milwaukee 5. And then 6, I'd go Miami. Actually, Washington, Miami 7. Who would be 8? Maybe the Bulls? Maybe Detroit, possibly. East isn't actually that good. I've always thought that maybe it was a little bit overblown, but the West has about 10, 11 teams that could be good enough to make the playoffs, or at least have over 500 records. The East, not so great there. So I think that's all I got for today. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. Today we talked Warriors. I mean, if that team sticks around long enough, they could end up getting 6 titles total amongst each other. Talked about the Raptors hiring Kawhi Leonard's friend to their coaching staff. Talked about Manu Ginobili, the Hornets. And then for this segment, talked a lot about Kobe and the Big Three. And gave my way too early standing predictions for the East and West. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I will be back next Wednesday, so stay tuned, and I will talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.